There's so many different ways to entertain yourself with Disney, and one of the biggest ways to do so is through just popping on your TV like I have over there, just putting on a good old Disney Channel show. Now, there's been a lot of shows, and some of them are amazing, some of them not so much, but today I want to focus on my top 10 Disney Channel shows. And starting with number 10, I have Liv and Maddie. Now, Liv and Maddie, it was one of those shows when it first came out, I was originally a little but once I realized that, wait, you know, Liv and Maddie are both played by Dove, then it's like, okay, this is pretty cool. Because video editing yourself to be multiple people is pretty tricky, and I get to use some camera angles and backup people, but it's a fun show. I really love the cast. They are just all so much fun. And, you know, even the backup characters like Willow, and especially Dump Truck being one of my favorite characters ever on a Disney show. At number 9, I got Tailspin. So Tailspin is the one where Baloo is in his airplane and he goes around and fights bad guys, mainly Don Carnage's people. And, you know, Rebecca's like, no, you can't use this place to do these type of missions. And then, you know, Kit goes around and he's like, no, I'm gonna be a part of this. And then Molly sneaks on the plane and all this other stuff. The theme is so much fun. I like how it was a spin-off from the Jungle Book. Like, Baloo is such a fun character to have in it. And then you add even more people. You still have Shere Khan there as the bad guy. You know, you have another dump truck. It's just, it did really well expanding the universe that Baloo lives in to something that you watch each episode and you're like, this is pretty enjoyable. And I just like the art animation, and, you know, all the air pirates and everything. It was one of the best Disney afternoon shows. Coming in at number 8 is Girl Meets World. Now, originally I wasn't sure if I was gonna put this, because part of me when I watch it, I'm like, man, I feel horrible about myself. But that's part of the goodness of it, is they actually had good morals in each episode. And it was one of those where you watch it and you're like, hey, I could overcome this. You know, hey, I learned something from it. And it had a pretty likable cast, and it really helped that they had Topanga, Cory, and a few of the other originals from the original series back in it. The only thing kind of awkward was how quickly everybody changed. Like, Rowan and Sabrina aged extremely fast. Overall, I'm glad they continued Boy Meets World and made Girl Meets World. I am a little bit shocked that they actually canceled it that soon, but at the same time I understand, because it was actually reaching an older demographic audience like me, you know, people who were like, hey, I used to watch Boy Meets World. And then they're like, nah, we can't do this. This is not what we're intended. Which is like, okay, that's fine. You know, we'll chill with that. And then at number 7, we got Phineas and Ferb. So Phineas and Ferb shows, hey, my life is not that boring. I just gotta find things to do. And there are so many things to do in your life where you're like, oh man, it's a rainy day. Nuh-uh, you go out there and play. Oh man, I wanna go on a roller coaster, but there's none. Nuh-uh, you go out there and you make a roller coaster. Don't really do that though, that's expensive, and if the roller coaster falls on you while you're building it, that's not a good thing. But what I'm saying is, Phineas and Ferb could really do it all, and they had just a really good cast. I mean, Candace, you know, Doofenshmirtz, Agent P and the entire organization, you know, it was just entertaining. And even the episode where they grew up, and, you know, everything kind of came together as a close, you know, with just Isabella and Phineas. It was good. It was one of those you're like, I enjoyed watching each episode. It was just funny. Like, it's one of those, half the time you're like, I don't know what's going on in the episode. You're like, I don't know what's going on in the episode, but you're like, it's okay. I'm gonna go roll with it. And it was just fun, especially Agent P. I think Agent P was really my favorite part of the entire series. And it's one of those, if I ever return to Disney, I'm going to be doing the Agent P quest at Epcot, because that looks like it's a lot of fun. Dr. Doofenshmirtz really is one of the best Disney villains that they've had, just from an entertainment standpoint. Phineas and Ferb is the longest running Disney TV series that they've had. It went from 2007 to 2015. Now, obviously, they took a lot of breaks, came back with like, hey, we have one episode this month, which is Avengers. Hey, we got one this month, which is Star Wars. But at the same time, it went on for a long time. That says a lot. At number 6 is another one that Ashley Tisdale is a part of, and that is The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. If you talk to a coworker around your age or something and you're like, hey, do you remember X Disney show? If you say The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, they will probably remember it regardless of what age group they are because it was hilarious. They started off the entire series really strong, introducing main characters, introducing side characters like Mariel, Esteban, Max, and it just kept rolling from there. In each episode, I was like, what are they going to do next? It was also just interesting seeing the difference between Cody and Zack and just how they interact with each other and how they interact with others. The mom in the Disney TV series was not just kind of the joke character like they do in other ones, where Carrie was actually somebody who had good advice when needed. Mr. Mosby, the same thing. He was very serious, but he also had good advice, and he was entertaining. And then, of course, London and Maddie really were phenomenal. The only thing I did not like was the 3rd season. Once Ashley had to go work on High School Musical a lot, the 3rd season value kind of shrunk. There were some episodes I'm like, this is really bad. This is not good. But then there's others like the one where they go to Hollywood and pretend they're on a set for a TV show starring 2 kids in a hotel. That was probably my favorite episode arc that they had over the 2 episodes. They knew how to make really good 4th wall breaking episodes. Now, number 5 is one that will probably be number 1 on a lot of people who are watching this, but I have Gravity Falls. Now, Gravity Falls is one of those, when I first watched it, I'm like, this is kind of a weird show. Like, I enjoy the animation and stuff. I really like hearing Crystal's voice after watching Toy Story especially, but it's just a weird show. And then it just started becoming like, hey, let me go on Google and look up the opening. Oh, hey, let me go on this and look up why do they have this symbol. And then it's one of those, I'm like, okay, look, there is clearly something going on here that nobody's talking about. Like, why do you have each character represented by a symbol? What is old man Grunkle Stan going into in his basement? Just so many different questions. And it started off a little slow, but once they started speeding it up and getting to just the really deep levels of insanity and just all this symbolism, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is insane. I have no idea what's going on. But now it goes from, hey, this is a story where the boy's trying to impress a girl, and the whole ghost and all that. So, okay, the world's gonna end. Who could stop it? And why does Mabel Pines, his pig, always live through everything? Just various questions that I've never thought of in my life, and now I'm like, this is deep. At number 4, I have Lilo and Stitch, the series. Now, I get that Lilo and Stitch, a lot of people, they liked the movie, they didn't really care for the series, but I personally loved it. Just seeing each new experiment, and not to mention the board game, which I'm gonna have to play again sometime. The board game that went along with the Disney TV series was so entertaining, and it's just one of those, I'm like, I want to see what cousin they come up with next, and the whole angel thing, and all the different cousins, and Sparky, just all of them were so cool. Stitch was fun, Lilo was fun, just how they implemented everyone, Jukiba, Pleakley, Nani, David, just all of them. It came together so well. Yet the one episode I remember the most wasn't even about the cousins. It was about the crossover with American Dragon, Jake Long. I don't know why that one stands out to me, but that one, I'm just like, hey, that was probably one of my favorite episodes. I don't know why, though. I really have no idea why. And at number 3 is DuckTales. Ooh. Okay, so I don't really need to talk too much about DuckTales because if I do, I'm going to keep rambling on. But to say that DuckTales was one of the best Disney shows ever is the total truth. I mean, okay, let's look at this one. DuckTales is coming back this year, 2017, to Disney XD, which I'm so excited about, and hopefully that means Darkwing Duck as well, which just barely missed this list, because the DuckTales Duckburg franchise is so rich. Hearing Alan Young's voice as Scrooge McDuck every episode, it was one of those, it's just like, it's a cool voice. You're like, hey, I remember Scrooge from the Christmas Story, or not the Christmas Story, the one where you have the ghost and all that. I think that's a Christmas Story. I don't know. I don't remember the name right now. But you have Scrooge McDuck, who went from being just a grouchy Grinch person to being one of the coolest treasure hunters ever. And at number 2, I got That's So Raven. It's the future I could see. Okay, That's So Raven is one of my favorites. It not only had one spin-off come out of it, but had 2, with Raven's Home now out. If you get 2 things coming out from the original series, that says a lot about how good it is. Sometimes they overdo it, just like Cinderella 2 and 3, but for Disney TV shows, that's pretty good. That's So Raven, it was enjoyable because half the time I'm like, okay, the vision's gonna happen no matter what, but now I don't know how her vision's gonna happen, and I even remember playing the Game Boy game all the time, because the Game Boy was the first handheld system I ever got, and I remember That's So Raven was one of the games I played the most. I think it was probably the second most. Sadly, the third most, I have to admit, was Home on the Range. That was not a very good game, but just gotta roll with what you got. The number 1 on my list, because we are talking about the best animes ever. That's right, the number 1 show is Cory in the House. Because who does not love Cory Baxter? One of the best Smash Bros characters of all time, going to the White House and taking it over, you know, playing guitar everywhere, playing drums, with some of the most memorable backup people in the show, like his dad, and that's it. I don't remember anything else. Actually, you know what? Maybe it wasn't the best Disney Channel show. I think the dub ruined it. But that's what happens when you get an anime and you dub it over. So, the real number 1 is Kim Possible. Kim Possible is one of the only Disney Channel shows that I actually know that had a petition to bring it back, got a 4th season approved for Kim Possible, because everybody and their mom and dad and everybody, they all loved Kim Possible. Kim Possible is what you love seeing in a spy series that you don't necessarily see in live action. Like Casey Undercover is awesome, but there's things that you can't do on Casey Undercover because it's live action. Having Kim Possible, it was one of those, okay, we could go to a camp, you know, Gil could come out and he could start attacking Ron, and you could do all this stuff where you gotta hide under the cupboards with the food and, you know, save Camp Wawanakwa, and then just all the cheerleader things, and then, you know, the episode where they had all their like zodiac symbols type of thing, or no, in the episode where they all had their spirit animals and Junior, and just it's so amazing. I mean, you had one of my favorite characters from Smart Guy, you know, who played Wade. Just, I was like, this is cool. I really want a communicator, and now we kind of all have one with smartphones. You had Rufus, who had probably one of the best songs ever in any single Disney TV series show. You had Dr. Draken, who was really Doofenshmirtz before Doofenshmirtz existed, and he just... Let me say this. Dr. Draken was played by John DiMaggio. John DiMaggio is one of the best voice actors ever, just for pure hilarity. I mean, he plays Jake the dog, he plays Gilgamesh, you could go on. He has a very big list, but Dr. Draken was so much fun, and especially next to Shigo as his sidekick. Shigo was just the perfect complement. It was such a joy to watch each episode. There were so many different plot twists, especially featuring, you know, monkey ninjas and just so many good things, especially the underground robot fight. Just, I could go on. But Kim Possible, to me, is the one series that if I had to watch a Disney Channel show, and that was the only one I could watch, I would pick Kim Possible over the other ones because it just was so entertaining. It had really good stories, it had really fun gadgets. So Kim Possible, you get my number 1. Please just retire in peace. Don't return as a reboot because you are already perfect the way you are, which is why my ringtone is the communicator sound. And that's my top 10. Hopefully you guys agree with most of them, or at least enjoy what was there. There was so many to choose from, Originally I had a top 20, and then I kept putting people in and out. I'm like, this is a great TV show. No, this is a great TV show. And then I'm just like, Mickey, what's the most magical to me? So I just went from there, and it worked out in the end. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Make sure to subscribe, and make sure to watch Disney Channel. It's on 24/7, so I was going to say a certain time, just watch Disney Channel if you really need that Disney spirit. Because while I wait to return to the Magic Kingdom and Disneyland someday, for now, I'm just enjoying it watching Disney Channel. That's not a bad thing.